All right, picture it. You're in your childhood bedroom. It's 1996. You're 6 years old. You have a truly regrettable bowl cut, and you're reading a book about a family of bears who wear clothes, live in a tree, and deal with relatable problems like chores and not talking to strangers. You accept all of this without question. Sure, your 6-year-old brain says, a bear in overalls who is deeply concerned about my moral development. Seems plausible. You remember the warmth of the lamp. You remember the crinkle of the pages. You remember the name on the cover, spelled out in that friendly bubble letter font, the Berenstein Bears. Spelled S-T-E-I-N. You would bet your entire life savings on it. You would go to court over this. You would testify before a congressional committee, under oath, about the spelling of this bear family's name. Well, I have some bad news for you, and for your life savings, and for that congressional committee, which would be a waste of taxpayer money. It was never Berenstein. It was always, and has always been, Berenstein. Spelled S-T-A-I-N. The authors, Stan and Jan Berenstein, spelled it that way from the beginning, like a coffee stain on the fabric of your childhood memories. You're feeling a weird little jolt right now, aren't you? A little prickle of existential dread. It's the feeling that reality has a typo and only you noticed. And everyone else insists you misremembered. Which is worse, because it means the glitch isn't in the universe. It's in you. Psychologists call this cluster of shared false memories the Mandela Effect, collective confidence about things that never were. What's strange isn't that we remember wrong. It's that we remember confidently. False certainty is the human condition. We don't store memories like files. We improvise them like jazz. And sometimes the saxophonist is drunk. The name itself is a whole other thing, a perfect little origin story for this whole mess. It was coined around 2009 by a paranormal researcher and self-described futurist named Fiona Broom. Imagine being at a nerdy convention, DragonCon probably. Someone is definitely dressed as a Klingon. You're making small talk by the sad convention center water fountain, and you just casually drop, "Hey, you guys remember when Nelson Mandela died in prison back in the 80s? I remember seeing it on the news. His widow gave a speech. There were riots. Back then, Western TV showed endless footage of South African protests, burning tires and funerals. If you were a kid, half watching CNN while eating cereal, your brain compressed those images into one composite tragedy. When Fiona said Mandela died, half the room's neurons nodded in agreement, except he didn't. Nelson Mandela got out of prison in 1990, became president of South Africa, won a Nobel Peace Prize, and lived until 2013. Which is, you have to admit, a significantly different and more successful end to that story. It's like remembering the Titanic safely arrived in New York, and everyone had a lovely time. So Fiona realized that a huge number of people had a clear, vivid, emotional memory of a major world event that just never happened. It wasn't a lie. It was a shared glitch in our collective memory, and she gave it a name. And once it had a name, the hunt for more glitches began. Though humanity's been misremembering with gusto for centuries. Before Reddit, we still did this. Medieval pilgrims traded relics. 36 churches each claimed to have John the Baptist's head. Entire villages misremembered saints' miracles. The technology changed. The confidence didn't. Part 1. A museum of things that weren't. Once you know what to look for, you start seeing these glitches everywhere. It's a whole library of things we're all collectively, confidently wrong about. This isn't just one bear family. It's an epidemic of misremembering. The Berenstein Bears, our Rosetta Stone of wrong. This is the big one. This is the hill that thousands of people on the internet are willing to die on. They have presented the book covers as evidence, sometimes with photoshopped Stein endings. They have analyzed the font. They have sworn on their children's lives it was Stein. The fact that it is, and always has been, Stain is to them not a simple spelling error. It is proof that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong with the universe. Even the authors, Stan and Jan Berenstein, had to publicly address the confusion, confirming their own family name was, in fact, their own. This isn't a memory, it's a crusade. But once you open the memory wormhole, it doesn't stop with bears and space dads. The museum has countless other exhibits. We swear the Wicked Queen said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." It was magic mirror. We'd bet money that Boardwalk and Park Place are purple on the Monopoly board. They're dark blue. Star Wars, the galaxy's most famous typo. This one hurts. You know the scene. Cloud City. Luke is on the little gantry, missing a hand, having a really bad day at the office. Vader is looming. It's the most famous line in the movie. The big reveal. "Luke, I'm your father," right? We've all quoted it. We've all seen the parodies. Wrong. He never says Luke. The actual line in the actual movie is, "No, I am your father," which is, let's be honest, way less dramatic. Luke, "I am your father" is a Shakespearean revelation. "No, I am your father" sounds like he's correcting a child at a parent-teacher conference who just pointed at the wrong dad in a helmet. It survives because it's self-contained. If you quote, "No, I am your father," nobody knows what you're talking about. Add Luke, and it becomes a meme. The Monopoly Man and his missing monocle. A study in classist brain editing. Picture rich Uncle Pennybags. Top hat? Yes. Cane? Yes. Little white mustache? Of course. A single elegant monocle over one eye, right? He just has that vibe. The vibe of a man who would foreclose on your property with one eye slightly magnified. And yet, he has never had a monocle. Not on the box, not on the cards, not once. Your brain just decided that a rich cartoon man from the 1930s should have a monocle, so it gave him one, free of charge. Cartoon wealth comes preloaded with monocle, cane, and accent. The human mind is allergic to blank spaces and tropes. Fruit of the Loom and the Phantom Cornucopia. This one is particularly insidious because it involves a logo we've seen thousands of times on the tags of our underwear. Picture the Fruit of the Loom logo. You see the apple, the grapes, the leaves, and right behind it there's a classic brown woven cornucopia, the horn of plenty spilling the fruit forward, right? It's as clear as day, except it was never there. No piece of registered trademark artwork has ever included a cornucopia. So where did it come from? Our brains are masters of association. We see a bountiful harvest of fruit, and our cultural programming, steeped in Thanksgiving decorations and classical art, immediately supplies the horn of plenty. It's not a memory. It's a mental accessory that just felt right. The Silence of the Lambs, a chilling misquote. Here we have a line of dialogue so famous, so perfectly chilling, it has defined one of cinema's greatest villains. Clarice Starling approaches the glass of Hannibal Lecter's cell. He's waiting, still and predatory. He looks at her and delivers the iconic skin-crawling greeting. "Hello, Clarice?" You can hear Anthony Hopkins' voice saying it now, but he never did. In their first meeting, the most he offers is a polite but unnerving "good morning." The misremembered line is infinitely creepier. Our collective subconscious acted as a script doctor, punching up the dialogue. To be fair to our memory, he does finally say the line in the 2001 sequel, Hannibal. But the moment we all remember is from the original film, and it never happened there. We are the champions and the missing finale. Every sporting event, every triumphant movie montage, every karaoke bar at 2 a.m. ends the same way. Freddie Mercury, at the height of his power, belts out the final defiant lyrics of "We are the champions of the world." It's the punctuation mark on the anthem, the final emotional crescendo. But if you listen to the original studio recording, that final declarative "of the world" doesn't exist on the album version. While Queen often added it during live performances, the version cemented in our cultural memory is a hybrid. Our minds collectively decided the song felt unfinished and tacked on the most logical and satisfying conclusion. Curious George and his imaginary tale. Think of the beloved children's book character, Curious George. He's a sweet, inquisitive little monkey, always getting into mischief with the man in the yellow hat. You can picture him perfectly. His brown fur, his big smile, and his long curved tail. Hold on, George has no tail. He never has. The reason is simple. George is drawn tailless. While some real-life monkeys, like the Barbary macaque, also lack tails, our childhood brains have a simple rule. Monkey equals has a tail. We see a primate in a book, and our mind fills in the missing appendage because a monkey without a tail feels like a typo in the animal kingdom. Shazam! The movie we all dreamt together. This one is my favorite because it's not a small detail. It's an entire 90-minute feature film that does not exist. A huge number of people in their 30s and 40s have a vivid, unshakable memory of a movie from the 1990s called Shazam, starring the comedian Sinbad as a bumbling, wisecracking genie. They can describe the poster. They can quote lines. The only problem is, it never happened. Sinbad once hosted a Sinbad the Sailor Marathon on TV in the 1990s, while dressed like a genie. That's all it takes. Add a foggy VHS memory, a purple color scheme, and Shaq's Kazam, and voila, a movie that never existed is permanently archived in 50,000 brains. Part 2. The fun explanations. So what's going on here? Why are so many of us sharing the same wrong memories? Well, you have two categories of explanations. Let's call them the fun ones, and the boring, buzzkill, probably true ones. Let's start with the fun ones because, frankly, they're better. Timeline bleeding. The ultimate, it's not me, it's the universe. This is the flagship theory of the Mandela Effect community, and it's the most comforting. It suggests that there aren't just other planets. There are other realities, infinite parallel universes, stacked on top of each other like a cosmic baklava, each with tiny variations. And we, constantly and unknowingly, are slipping and sliding between them. So you're not wrong! You are a timeline refugee. You, a traveler from the superior Berenstein universe, a brighter, cleaner reality where cartoon characters have better accessories, have somehow merged into this inferior, misspelled Berenstein universe. This explanation is incredibly flattering. It means your bad memory isn't a flaw, it's proof that you're a multiverse explorer. Your confusion isn't a sign of forgetfulness, it's a form of cosmic jet lag. The simulation is glitching, the devs got lazy. This theory proposes we're all living in a giant, hyper-realistic computer simulation, and these inconsistencies are just bugs in the code. We're not experiencing a memory problem, we're experiencing a software problem. The developers who built our reality are just like any other software team. Overworked, underpaid, and occasionally pushing sloppy patches to the live server. The cornucopia was in the alpha build of the Fruit of the Loom logo, but they patched it out in the version 2.4 update and forgot to wipe everyone's cache. The movie Shazam was a piece of downloadable content that was later deprecated, but traces of it remain in the system registry. Luke, I am your father was the original line, but a programmer changed it with a lazy find and replace command that missed a few instances in our memory logs. We're not citizens. We're beta testers living in a buggy open-world game, reporting glitches to a dev team that never listens. CERN did it, the universe's clumsy interns. And who's to blame? CERN! This theory points a finger at the Large Hadron Collider, that giant science donut under Switzerland. Proponents believe that when scientists smash particles together at 13 tera electron volts, they're not just finding new bosons, they're playing a game of cosmic billiards with the building blocks of reality. Every so often, things get messy. A little bit of another reality leaks through. They knock the E out of Berenstein. A monocle gets deleted from the Monopoly Man's character file. For the record, physicists will tell you the LHC is powerful enough to discover new particles, not to retcon children's literature. But that's exactly what someone from the timeline-altering agency would say, isn't it? Time travelers. The butterfly effect of a rogue graphic designer. This one is simpler and somehow more infuriating. It suggests a time traveler went back and changed something, but not something big like stopping a war. No, they made a tiny, insignificant change that had unforeseen cultural consequences. Maybe a rogue design student from the 24th century went back to the 1930s to interview Parker Brothers for their thesis, and casually mentioned, you know, that monocle on your mascot feels a bit cliché. This theory turns history into an act of cosmic vandalism, where our most cherished memories were edited by some jerk with a time machine and a lot of opinions. But the real bug isn't in the software, the timeline, or the past. It's in the wetware. Part 3. The reality check. It's fun to blame CERN. It's more useful to blame our neurons. Now for the boring, buzzkill, probably true explanations. The truth is less about particle physics and more about the beautiful, creative, and deeply flawed mush inside our skulls. Your brain is a liar, but it means well. Your brain's #1 job is not to be an accurate historian. Its job is to create a coherent story. It engages in something called confabulation. This is your brain's autocorrect feature. When it sees a gap in a memory, it just fills it in with something plausible. It's an evolutionary feature, not a bug. Better to remember the gist of the saber-toothed tiger than the precise accuracy of its stripes. Your brain isn't a hard drive. It's more like a Wikipedia page that you and a bunch of strangers can edit. The power of the gist. Fuzzy trace theory. Psychologists Valerie F. Reyna and Charles Brainerd developed fuzzy trace theory, which says we store memories in two ways: verbatim, the exact details, and gist, the general meaning. Verbatim detail halves in days. Gist can persist for decades. Your brain doesn't remember the exact line. No, I am your father. It remembers the gist, which is Big Daddy reveal. And Luke, I am your father, is a much punchier way to convey that gist. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus proved suggestion alone can plant vivid false memories. She once convinced subjects they'd been lost in a mall as children. A quarter of them described the incident in rich sensory detail. This is a classic example of a source monitoring error, where the brain forgets the true source of a memory. Memory isn't a photograph. It's a short story we edit on reprint. The Mandela Effect is just Loftus's experiment scaled up to civilization size. The internet echo chamber, social contagion. And then there's the internet, which is basically a giant global engine for confirming our biases. One person on a forum posts, wait, wasn't it spelled Berenstein? And a million people who have a fuzzy memory go, oh my god, it was. The power of suggestion is immense. It's a memory pyramid scheme and everyone's buying in. We didn't democratize truth. We crowdsourced delusion. Conclusion. So, is reality broken? So, is the universe broken? Is CERN run by a bunch of clumsy oafs who keep spilling coffee on the timeline? Are we all just characters in a buggy video game? Probably not. Maybe the Mandela Effect endures because it flatters us. It says we remember a better world, one with clearer logos, neater endings, and bears that spelled their own names properly. It's nostalgia disguised as quantum mechanics. Reality isn't broken, it's just less tidy than we'd prefer. The Mandela Effect isn't really about conspiracies or parallel worlds. It's about us. It's about the weird, creative, and deeply unreliable nature of our own minds. Our brains are not hard drives. They are storytellers. They edit, revise, add details, and swap out boring lines for better ones. It's a reminder that this brand of false certainty isn't a bug, but a feature of the human condition. Reality didn't change. Our memory just auto-corrected itself into poetry. So you have two options. You can believe that a Swiss super collider has accidentally cast you into a slightly worse, misspelled version of your home dimension. Or you can accept that your brain is a beautiful, creative, and deeply untrustworthy narrator that occasionally gets things wrong. One of those is a way better story. The other one is why you can't remember where you put your keys this morning. Keep the neat multiverse in your heart. Keep the messy memory science in your head. Gemini can make mistakes, so double-check it.